This is Topic C on page 179, Managing Workbook Properties.
You and your colleagues may end up generating a large number of Excel workbook files in your day-to-day tasks. Because many people often provide input or collaborate on the same projects, there are likely numerous versions of the same workbook files on your network shares and on people's computers. With all of these workbook files floating around, and with so many of them having similar titles and content, how can you find the exact file you're looking for? Fortunately, Excel provides you with a way to include identifying information about your workbooks within the workbook files themselves. This type of information can help you search through numerous workbook files to find precisely the one you need. A workbook property is quite simply a bit of information about a workbook file. This kind of data about your data is also known as metadata. Workbook properties can help identify key pieces of information such as who created a particular file, when it was created, when it was last modified, and what its current status is. Workbook properties even enable you to include tags about a workbook file, similar to tags web developers use to help people search for particular websites. Tags are short descriptions or keywords that help identify the kind of content you will find within a file. For example, a sales workbook might be tagged with the territories it covers, the department it's associated with, and terms such as sales, quarter, and commission. When a user searches for any of these terms on a network or within a directory, the relevant sales workbook is more likely to show up in search results. So to set workbook properties, we would go to the File tab on our ribbon to access our Backstage view. And to the right on our Info tab, here we have our properties. You can see we have a place for a title property. So maybe I would add the title Chapter 6. You can do a tag. Let's do Excel. We can do comma Chapter 6. What else? Since the chapters were about workbooks, and properties we can do. You can add categories. You can see the author of who created the workbook and who it was last modified by. The last modified date, the date it was created, last printed. And you can also click on Show All Properties, and you can see there's more. Comments, subject, hyperlink, company. You can do bar PC. And then to show less, click the link again. We can also create advanced properties, or custom properties, I should say, by going to our Properties dropdown, Advanced Properties. This opens up our dialog box. Here on our Summary tab, you can see I have my title property input here. You can input them right on the info screen or in this dialog box. All right, we'll add the subject properties as well. To add custom properties, we would go to our Custom tab at the top. You can use any of these custom properties that are already created, or you can also make your own. Let's say we needed a property of, I was going to say editor, that's already there. Trying to think of something off the top of my head here. We'll just do editor. We'll use editor. You can see when I click on it, it will input the custom property at the top. The type, you have the option of text, date, number, or yes or no. Text, you can enter a value of whoever's name. Date, you can only add date values here. A number, you can only add numeric values. And a yes or no value gives you radio buttons of yes or no. So we'll do a text value for editor, and I'll just add my own name. And then when I add this custom property, it's going to come up at the bottom here. Your custom properties will not be shown on your info page, just in this dialog box on the custom tab. So you could also, let's say, create a custom property of final. We can make this a yes or no value. Add yes. Now this is in our list as well. Right, and then you just click OK from here, and those custom properties are created. Now you might be wondering, well, what's the point of properties? I'm going to save my updates here. I'm actually going to do a save as so I don't overwrite my original that I have. I'm going to call this Chapter 6 saved. And I'm going to close this out. Just to take a look at my tags again, it's Excel Chapter 6 Workbooks Property. I'm going to close this. I can close Excel. Now, the point of properties is, like the book said, you can have many copies that people are working on or collaborating on, and they all have, similar file names, so it's hard to find, the specific version that you're looking for. So if you add properties to your workbook, you can easily search for them in File Explorer. So you can search through your whole PC. We're not going to do that because we have so many files in our computer. We're just going to go to our home drive and search through this. Now, obviously, it would take so long to go through each folder, each location here to find a specific document. But we can search through our tags if we want. And in the top right-hand corner of our File Explorer screen, you can see Search eGraph, my home drive. I can click here and I can search for my tags. So I'm going to do tags, and let's search for Chapter 6 that I added. So you can see it says working on it. I get my green status bar of how far it has searched through my home drive. And sometimes this takes a couple minutes, so we'll be patient as it searches through our whole entire home drive. But tags are kind of similar. If any of you guys are Twitter users, hashtag, I don't know, hashtag summer 2020 or hashtag whatever your subject is. If you search for that specific hashtag, all the posts regarding that topic will come up. It's kind of the same thing here. We're searching for tags that have been named Chapter 6. So any files that have to do with Chapter 6 in the tags name. Very similar to that. All right, so we'll give this a couple more minutes. It's still going, searching through my files. You can see just how long it takes to search through my home drive, one drive on my computer. Imagine how long it would take to search the whole entire PC. All right, it's getting there. Almost there. It always seems to go so much slower as we get to the end. Here we go. Chapter 6 saved. You can see this Chapter 6 saved is the only one that I saved that tag Chapter 6 under, not the original document of Chapter 6. So that did not come up in my search results here, only Chapter 6 saved. So those document properties are good for searching for specific files for yourself. And that works in Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So all of our different programs, we can add our tags and different properties to our documents. All right, so
Your next video will be Activity 6.3 on page 183.